All right, I almost played the music twice for you, but hello everybody, and good evening. Monday, February the 3rd, the day after the Groundhog Day, and here I am, Chris Hughes, at it again here with CarolinaPreps.com, doing a new little podcast that we're going to do calling it Word on the Street. You've seen me around for about 20 years covering high school football, coaching before that, and here the past few years, working with Langston Wirtz and Sam Griner and all the guys over there talking preps with the Charlotte Observer. Still going to work with those guys, but we're going to give it a go again here to talk some ball here with Carolina Preps. We got a good story to talk about tonight. Got two really good coaches that's going to come on and chat with us here in a bit, and I'm going to go ahead and bring the first one on right now. Good friend of mine. I've known him a long time, coached against him, I guess it's about 20 years ago. But Kirkley Russell, and Kirkley Russell is just named the head football coach this morning, matter of fact, at Southwest Guilford High School. He's currently been helping Coach Mark Morris, another North Carolina guy down in South Carolina at Carolina Forest. So without further ado, Coach Kirkley Russell, welcome to the show. And I guess first and foremost, congratulations on the new gig.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me on this evening. Very excited about it.
Man, absolutely. So you're taking over in Northwest or at Southwest Guilford, apologies, and wearing that Kelly green. Last time I saw you or was on the sideline, opposite sideline from you, you was wearing another shade of Kelly green at A.O. Brown. So it's been a long
That,
time.
that's right. That's right. I left North Carolina, wore green, and I'm coming back and I'll be wearing green again. And it's a good color.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, what excites you about this new job, and what led you to the Greensboro area? I know of all the places in North Carolina you could have come back to, you land up there at the Triad. So tell us about the job and maybe what it was that kind of lured you in.
I think just the atmosphere in Guilford County that I experienced the year I worked at Grimsley High School. I really enjoy my time there. I still talk about that a lot. I just love the Triad area. You got a new principal coming in, and he's very excited about being there, and I'm very excited about being there. Just want an opportunity to get back home into North Carolina. I wanted to be a head coach. Got a great AD there. He's been there a long time. Potential is great to move that program forward. Good academic school, great community, and I can't wait to get there and get started.
Well, you're one of those guys, over the course of the last 10, 15 years, I always kind of speculate, I guess is a good word, of people I think would be a good fit for some head coaching gigs. And you're one of those guys that I feel like personally is probably about 20 years overdue for a good head coaching job. So, I am happy for you, but also thankful that you're finally getting that opportunity because, a good coach like yourself, I think you're really going to have a great positive impact on those young men and just be really good for a program.
Well, I appreciate those kind words. I've heard that a lot today. I do believe I've earned the opportunity, and I would tell all assistant coaches out there, that's your goal, and you want to attain that. You keep working to do that, and let that be a high goal you should reach for.
All right. All
I
right.
do
Well,
want.
again, congratulations again, Coach Kirkley Russell, the new head football coach at Southwest Guilford. Hey, the first time you win and you get your guys in the locker room, I hope you'll use Jimmy Johnson's old saying, "How about them Cowboys?"
Hey, we get that one greased up, Chris. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good one. And being a school, there's a lot of schools in North Carolina that share the same nickname, but that the Cowboys are the only mascot in North Carolina. So that's kind of cool to have that unique mascot, that nobody else has here in the state.
That's right. I'm really excited about that.
Cool, cool. Well, again, congratulations. If you want to stay with us, I'd love to have you talk some ball. We're going to bring another head coach
Sure.
on that is also coming back from North Carolina. But this guy coming back from South Carolina. But this man spent a long, long time in North Carolina. Now I believe he's the second winningest coach now that he came back into the state among active head coaches. Without further ado, I'm going to bring on a really good friend of mine. I've known him for a long time, Coach Donnie Kiefer, new head football coach once again at Central Cabarrus High School. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great, Chris. Appreciate you having me on.
Man, absolutely. Privilege is all mine. Well, congratulations. Who says you can't come back home? And here you are doing it the second time. I know you got to be really excited.
Yeah, I'm blessed, no doubt about it. And, I was able to experience a lot of great things in South Carolina and made a lot of really good friends that I'll have for a lifetime. And, one thing I'll say about those guys in South Carolina is a little unexpected. I mean, the way that they kind of accepted me right when I went there. I know when I left North Carolina, I was like in the top 10 winningest coaches in the state at that point, active. And, and I said, I remember one of the interviews I did, I told somebody, I said, all of that's going to change really quick because I'm going to go down there and I'm nobody. Nobody knows me. Nobody cares about me or what I've done in the past. I've got to earn it. And they just treated me really well. I mean, obviously we were able to win 2 state championships at Green Sea, Floyd's, which I'll never forget you and John Till showing up at that first state championship game. That was awesome. And then, I think I got 2 or 3 different state coach of the year awards and some strength coach of the year awards and just a lot of good things that happened. And those guys in South Carolina really just accepted me and embraced me and made me feel like I'd been around them forever and that I'd been in South Carolina forever. So that was really special. So I'm truly going to miss a lot of those guys and the friendships that I've made there. But coming back home to Central Cabarrus is like a dream come true.
Wow. And again, welcome back here to CarolinaPreps.com, a new podcast I'm starting today, Word on the Street. I got 2 great head coaches, Kirkley Russell, Donnie Kiefer. Donnie, we talked about this before the game, but you and Coach Kirkley Russell, y'all have a lot in common. Now you are both former or current/former coaches at Southwest Guilford. That was one of your coaching roles along the way.
Yeah, and actually my worst, I hate to say it. that was the one place that I wasn't able to get turned around, but it still learned some good lessons. Even in that was a tough gig at the time. And like I said, Guilford County had done away with middle school football, and all of their schools had to play in one classification, which made us all 3A, which we were technically a 2A school at that point. But I still made some great friends there and learned some valuable lessons that I've been able to take with me and build on them through the years.
I've been to every high school, except for maybe a couple, 2 or 3 new ones that's popped up here in the last couple of years across the state of North Carolina. Been a lot of them in South Carolina too. I have a feeling, the way the Triad area and especially Greensboro and that Jamestown area has grown and High Point, when you were the head coach at Southwest Guilford, it was probably a very rural, almost a country kind of school compared to today.
It was compared to what it is now. Yeah, it was, just some really good people and a lot of good things going on there. But like I said, it was tough. That was back in the heyday when High Point Central and High Point Andrews and all of them were powerhouses. So it was tough week in and week out, and we were competitive. I mean, we lost games like 15-14 and 34-28 to High Point Andrews, and we were competitive, but not where we wanted to be.
Yeah. Coach Russell, I'm going to ask a question to both of you in just a second, but I got one more question. I just kind of a point I wanted to bring up. I think it was the day after Christmas this past December. I called you on the phone, Coach Kiefer, and at that point you had just stepped down at West Ashley. You had not taken a position at that point, but you made a comment to me. You're standing at 280 wins, and you said that you would love to have the opportunity to try to win 300, but not just win 300. You said you really wanted to do it on the sidelines in North Carolina, a state you call home. Tell us why that was so important, because you could go to Georgia at this point or really anywhere. Your coaching acumen speaks for itself, and I'm sure you get hired. But why North Carolina?
Well, just, I think we're just ready to be home. My kids are in North Carolina, got grandkids in North Carolina. It's just home. I mean, something in me wanted to get that 300th win in North Carolina if I'm fortunate enough to do it. And there are no givens. It may take 10 years to get 20 more wins. Who knows? I don't think so, but I'm just kidding on that. But, I just really felt like, what better way to do it than to go back to my own hometown, where I started playing football, Concord Boys Club, and coming up through the system at Central Cabarrus. I was just fortunate to be able to coach there the first time. I left a really good program at Tuscola there and took a pay cut to be able to go back home. And then, obviously retired and went to double dip and do that kind of thing. But the first time I was at Central Cabarrus was really special. I think they had won 4 games in the last 4 or 5 years or whatever, and we were able to go in there and go 8-4 the first year. Then the second year, I think we won 11 or 12, which is still the record for the most wins in school history. So I'm hoping that we can go in and make that kind of turnaround again. But if I were to be able to win number 300 right there in Dink Jordan Stadium, that would be just an awesome way to cap off a career.
Absolutely. I have no doubt that you're going to get there. Can't wait for that moment. And, Carolina Preps will be out there covering it. Hey, by the way, any of you guys watching here, I know we're live streaming on Facebook at the moment. You can put some comments. You can see the little link below. Send us a comment on Facebook. Let us know that you're watching. We'd love to get your feedback of what we're doing here at Carolina Preps. I want to start with Coach Russell on this question, but this is really geared for both of you. Being that you are both longtime North Carolina coaches, you're very versed with the brand of football that we play here in the Tar Heel State. You know the teams, the communities, so on and so forth. But yet you also both spent a significant amount of time down there in South Carolina. Coach Russell, I know you were at Nation Ford, I believe, for 10 years in York County before heading down to Horry County to coach over there at Carolina Forest. And then obviously, you've been in Horry County as well, coach, and down in the Charleston area. So starting with you, Coach Russell, what do you think it is that makes South Carolina different? Sometimes you see, when the two teams get together in neutral fields, they can be some really competitive games. I had the luxury of calling the Shrine Bowl on ESPN for almost a decade. So, I've seen the two teams going head to head. And I often used to say that I thought North Carolina might have just a little bit of an edge in talent. But I just felt like South Carolina maybe took football more serious than maybe we did here. Maybe that's at the state level, the administration level. I'm not sure. But Coach Russell, I'm going to start with you. Just would love to get your take on that.
Sure. I'll give you an easy answer. And Benny McMurray and I used to talk about this a lot, is that the big difference, especially in upstate South Carolina in 4A and 5A football, which where I coached and where I spent most of my time in North Carolina, is that even if you play a bad team, they've got good players. And they can sneak up and beat you if you're not ready to play. And North Carolina just doesn't have the depth in the 4A level of football that South Carolina does week in, week out. That you play the teams like Burns and Dorman and South Point, Northwestern, Gaffney. I mean, you got to bring your A game. And then you take a week off, and Lancaster will sneak up and beat you. For example, North Carolina. If you're a high level team in North Carolina, you don't necessarily have to bring your A game every week. Like you do in South Carolina, specifically the upstate level of play. So I think that's the biggest difference. A lot of the schools in South Carolina do spend more money and on facilities and things like that. You look what's going on down in Anderson, South Carolina, the last 10 years. Those schools never were that great in football, and they've spent a lot of money on infrastructure and facilities and supplements. And now they're some of the best programs in the state, TL and Hannon and Westside. So it's a component of administrative support, and they've got good coaches and good players at the high level of football in South Carolina.
Coach Kiefer?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, I think especially in the upstate more so than maybe in the lower state, but even in the lower state, some of the counties like Florence County, Horry County, some of those that, every school system every school in their system has gotten turf over the last couple of years, brand new multi-million-dollar weight rooms, those kind of things. So I would say they're definitely willing to spend money on football. And like Coach said, the infrastructure, the stadiums, the weight rooms, that kind of thing. And, it's more important in some areas than it is in others. There's still areas in South Carolina, which I think that there's a lot of areas in North Carolina where football is probably more important. But like he said, in those big pockets around, Rock Hill and York and, all up in the upper state, Gaffney, all around there, Burns, Dorman, up there, it's like a religion. And, they take it very seriously, and they do what they have to do, to be good at it. With that being said, I still think that North Carolina has some great football. I really do. One thing you have to realize is North Carolina has double the amount or number of football playing schools as South Carolina. So, obviously the talent is spread out more among many more schools. But I think we have some great coaches in North Carolina. I think we have some great players in North Carolina. I think it's just a little more spread out than it is maybe in South Carolina. But like Coach said, that upper state football, that's a whole different world.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate both of your input with that. I'm one of these guys, I'm a North Carolina guy as well, but, I try to be really unbiased. I've got a lot of really good friends that coach at some of these schools in South Carolina. And I've always just been had a lot of respect for the job they do. And sometimes I don't necessarily think it's been apples to apples in regards to some of the haves and have-nots. That some of our schools in South Carolina have. I visit with Coach Knotts at Dutch Fork quite a bit. And you mentioned what's going on at Anderson and T.L. Hanna, Coach. I've seen a shift in Anderson County really picking up and getting better when Scott Early, when he left and went there, they did a big bump in pay and facilities. And I think that kind of set the trend for them to get better. But I'm just one of these guys. I'm happy for both states, but I also want to see North Carolina catch up in the significance of football here in the Southeast. But moving forward, by the way, Coach Kiefer, we do have our first comment on the show tonight. Tim Furr says, "Welcome home, Donnie. Can't wait to get started."
He's a lifelong friend. We were teammates when we were in the 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, playing in the boys club football league. And his dad was one of our coaches, and he was the head coach, actually. I remember in the 5th grade, and just a great guy. And Tim, he is Mr. Central Cabarrus. He's the biggest supporter that school's ever seen, and just lives and dies by that green and gold.
All right. Well, hey, I'm not going to keep you guys on much longer, but I do want to spend the last few minutes of our Word on the Street podcast. And I just want to tell a few people kind of what I've had going on here with Carolina Preps. It's been kind of documented, the last 4 years, after the whole COVID pandemic and everything happened, I kind of took a break from high school football. I've kind of kept my toe in the water. I've done my work with the Charlotte Observer and still done some broadcasting, some college games with ESPNU and some different outlets and things like that. But when it came to running my own website that I started almost 20 years ago, I kind of took a break and just didn't put the same amount of effort into it. But I'm here to let everybody know that I guess I'm back. If Michael Jordan can send a fax back in 1993 saying I'm back, I guess here I am saying I'm back. I know I've tried to make some comebacks in the past, but circumstance didn't necessarily stand in my favor at that time. But here we are today. I've put a lot of capital and just a lot of time and effort into revamping the CarolinaPreps.com website. I really hope you guys will take an opportunity to go check it out. And I want to actually add it to the screen right now so we can kind of look at these changes in coaches. I'm going to let y'all, if y'all want to, you can kind of chime in of what you think of the website and maybe how you as coaches are able to use it to help you with running your programs. But as you can see, we've got a revamped front page, completely new look, new color scheme. There we got Coach Jeff Chapman. He's my longtime sponsor. Coach Chapman's been with me forever over there at Red Zone Strength. But you can kind of see the website. I mean, it's just got a great new look. We hope you guys will check it out. But the main thing that I'm really excited to tell you guys about are some changes to the team pages. And if you take a look at it, all you got to do is click on team pages. You'll see, we've got every active and non-active high school in both North and South Carolina on there. So if you want to pull up a team, all you got to do is go to the menu here and Coach Kiefer, since you're here, we're going to go to your alma mater of Central Cabarrus, and there it is. Everything pulls up nice and easy. Already got Coach Kiefer there. Some things that are new to the site that you may not have seen that we've done here in the last few weeks is we've added the coaching records for that particular school. You can see right there any coach who has ever been the head coach at school. You can see who the winningest coach there is. Oops, let's go back. Also, coach record versus all-time opponents. You can see who you've played the most in school history. It's no surprise that Central and Mountain, Central and Northwest Cabarrus are right there neck and neck for the most games. And then, of course, something that's kind of cool is if you do click on the summary to the far right, you can see a listing of every game ever played in that rivalry, which is something I think is just really cool. I think it's something that I think a lot of the fans are really going to enjoy. Again, just to kind of throw it out there, we've got South Carolina as well. There you go. You can pull up Dutch Fork. Pull up the coaching bio of Coach Tom Knotts. And this is another thing. And Coach Kiefer, you're a guy that's coached against a lot of coaches. If you go here to coach versus all-time coach, you can see who that coach has played the most against. And really no surprise right there, Coach Tommy Knotts. He has coached the most games against Bruce Harden. And, it kind of brings back to mind some of those West Charlotte versus Harding games and Independence and Providence. I know he actually had a few games even at A.L. Brown against West Charlotte. So these are all some cool things that, we have added here at Carolina Preps. Of course, as always, we've got the stadium project, and now the stadium project is actually inside the website. It used to take you to another website. Now you can do it inside the website, which I think is going to save a lot of people a lot of headaches going back and forth. And then finally, I'll go ahead and throw the link in here. I have not released this to the public yet, but we do have some new message boards that will also go live here in a day or two. You can see right there, actually inside the framework of the website instead of an external site. So we've got a lot of new changes here. If you want to, go and look at who's won state championships or whatever year, we've got them. And also, if you want to go look at any all-state team here in the state of North Carolina dating back to about 1925, we've got all them as well. So you want to find out who was an all-state football player in the 90s or whatever year, we got it. But man, I just really wanted to show you all them changes and kind of get your idea about the website. And maybe Coach Kiefer, I'll start with you. Just tell me, just so I can know whether I'm doing a good job or not, how do you feel like the website's helped you in your career?
Tremendously. I mean, and it just blows my mind how much information that you have. I mean, for every team in North Carolina, South Carolina, every coach who's ever coached, active and inactive, and everywhere they've ever been. I mean, I've gone back on the site and just looked through some of the years and just remembering some of the games that maybe I had forgotten about, or I was looking to see, hey, how did we do against them this year? And, who did we lose to that year? Say we won 12 games. Who were those 12? That kind of thing. It's just a tremendous, I don't know how you come up with all that information, where you got it all. Had to take a ton of research, but it's just fascinating to go back and look at all of those, not only for myself, but for other coaches, other programs all over the whole Carolinas area.
Well, thank you. And I've got to give credit where credit is due. There have been some really good men who have helped me along the way. Jim West, I think we all know Jim West. He's been with me with Carolina Preps for a long time. He's a contributor as well with Carolina Varsity and with Charlotte Observer. Jim West has been, he's been my rock star. He's kind of that horse that just a workhorse. He's kind of that fullback you can give the ball to 25 times a day. He's a tireless worker when it comes to researching things. Has taught me to be a better researcher. We've used some really good resources at our hands, like some old newspaper archives and things like that. And then, of course, with the South Carolina side, there's a legend, prep pioneer when it comes to the media side, Dave Pickering. He really helped me with a lot of the South Carolina history. So it's been a labor of love for sure. Coach Russell, not meaning to leave you hanging here. Any thoughts or how you've enjoyed the website over the years?
My thoughts is I'm a big history and tradition guy. My mom graduated from Boyden in '58, and she'll tell you we won 2 state championships when she was in high school. And I love those articles I see from Mike London in the Post about Bobby Crouch and Eddie Kessler and people like that. So to have that resource that you have there for all of us coaches, I think that's something that carries a lot of weight. And I really appreciate the work you put into it.
Well, I appreciate it. And, I've definitely prided myself in helping coaches and, being a coach prior, it kind of lends yourself to wanting to work with coaches a little bit more. So, yeah, I've definitely kind of hitched my wagon to promoting coaches. But, I just want to promote the communities, the towns, the players, just everything that's part of high school football. That's always been kind of what I do here. I got a few more comments, just kind of throw them up there. Carolina site, Preps is a good site. Thank you, Gary Ashley. Jeff Cook, looks good, Chris, great job. And Tim Furr, once again, outstanding job. So, guys, I appreciate the good comments. Looking forward to really diving back into football. I will be out and about this week. We've got the coaches meeting up in Greensboro this weekend, the North Carolina Football Coaches Association. So hope to see some of my coaching friends up there and kind of learn what some of the new things come out of the committee meetings and some things like that. But it should be a busy time here in the next few weeks. And I know you guys know this as football coaches. Just because it's the off season, I really think that the off season is even more busier than the regular season.
Yep. Tell you what, a lot going on. A lot of people trying to prepare, and just renewing old friendships with coaches, and just a lot of things going on, like you said.
Definitely, Coach Kiefer always does a great job in that offseason in that weight room too. He's got a great reputation for that.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Well, man, I think that's going to about do it for us. I appreciate you both coming on here live on a Monday night. I've enjoyed having you both on. I look forward to seeing what you both can do at your respective schools. Coach Kiefer, you've got a track record of success at rebuilding programs and just a great career of excellence all the way around. And Coach Russell, I knew you as an assistant coach, and I know you've been around some really good programs over the years, and I'm excited to see what you could do up there at Southwest Guilford, because I know the coaching acumen that you possess, and I think that there's going to be a lot of young men up there that's going to benefit from you.
Well, thank you, Chris, and everything you do for high school football.
Well, thank you both. And again, that's going to do it here. But for Coach Donnie Kiefer, for Coach Kirkley Russell, I'm Chris Hughes. Again, check us out here at Carolina Prep. So we got a lot of cool things I'm going to try to debut over the next 2-3 weeks. It's going to be a slow process, and I got more things kind of up my sleeve that I hope to show you men and ladies as well soon. But thanks for joining us. This is the episode 1, I guess, of the new podcast, Word on the Street. We'll catch you probably later on this week, but we'll catch you next time, guys.
Thanks, Chris.